Does Bob Cratchit, a character from the Charles Dickens classic novella, A Christmas Carol, make the equivalent of $530.27 a week, which is more than the current weekly federal minimum wage in the United States? Probably not. The novella, set in Victorian-era London, states that Cratchit is paid 15 bob, a colloquial term for British shillings, per week for his work as a clerk for his tight-fisted boss Ebenezer Scrooge. Lead Stories reached out to several Dickens scholars who informed us of the difficulty of accurately converting Cratchit's pay to today's currency. However, they also clarified that while the figures used in the claim are most likely overblown estimates, the bigger picture is not too far off the mark. Cratchit is underpaid, most likely overworked and certainly struggling to support all of the needs of his large family, but he is literate and fares much better than the majority of London's workers in those days. The claim, which was originally published as a tweet, also appeared in a Facebook post, published on December 19, 2021. The post featured a screenshot of the tweet, which read, quote, "Time for your annual reminder that, according to A Christmas Carol, Bob Cratchit makes 15 shillings a week. Adjusted for inflation, that's $530.27 per week, $27,574 per year, or $13.50 per hour. Most Americans on minimum wage earn less than a Dickensian allegory for destitution." End quote. The Twitter user who made the screenshotted tweet later corrected himself, saying that his tweet was a result of super sloppy Googling. He cited this forum post as his source. This is what the post looked like on Facebook on December 22, 2021. Source: Facebook screenshot taken on WED-DEC 22:16 hours 16 minutes and 47 seconds 2021 UTC. For a better understanding of the world of A Christmas Carol, Lead Stories reached out to several Dickens scholars. Since the year is not stated in the story, we contacted Natalie McKnight, a dean and professor of humanities at Boston University, who provided us with an estimate. In an email sent on December 21, 2021, McKnight said, quote, "So, A Christmas Carol seems to be set around the time it was written. It was written in 1843, so let's say it's set between 1835 to 1843. It definitely echoes some Industrial Revolution and utilitarian thinking, from Scrooge, both of which were strong at that time. So that would be the rough date to use in estimating what Bob's wage would equate to today." End quote. The 1840s are often referred to as the Hungry Forties, and were the decade of a significant financial crisis, the Irish potato famine, and other challenges, said Sean Grass, chair of the Department of English at Rochester Institute of Technology and current president of the Dickens Society. In his email to Lead Stories sent on December 22, 2021, Grass noted that compared to the truly destitute characters in Dickens' other published works, Cratchit is paid well enough to just barely support a large family in decent, but not thriving, circumstances. Joel Bratton, a professor of English at Worcester Polytechnic Institute and past president of the Dickens Society, expressed a similar sentiment in an email to Lead Stories on December 22, 2021. Quote, "It is important to note that Bob Cratchit was not destitute. Rather, he was paid little, and had a large family, 6 children, to feed and clothe. Mrs. Cratchit wears a twice-turned gown, suggesting the work involved in keeping the clothing usable. If one tries to support a family of 8 on what is essentially a minimum wage job, one will certainly encounter difficulties." End quote. The claimed salary estimates are a more complicated matter, as historical currency conversions are not an exact science. Grass explained further, quote, "It's hard to frame a true estimate of what pounds and shillings then would be worth today, though many scholars have tried. The challenge is, assessing inflation generally means comparing the cost of a particular item now versus at some point in the past. But we don't buy the same things now that people bought in the 1840s. How much are reading candles now? How much were light bulbs then? Horseshoes? Gas prices? And so on." End quote. During its time as a form of British currency, 1 shilling was worth 1/20th of the British pound. Therefore, 15 shillings was 3/4, or 0.75, of a British pound. Grass estimated that £1 in the 1840s is worth about $500 in today's US dollars, meaning Cratchit would make $375 per week today. Grass also noted that the claim's calculation of wage per hour seems to be based on a 40-hour workweek, which is the standard before overtime for many workers today. However, he said that assumption is erroneous. Quote, "The Post's math I think probably is assuming, as we do nowadays, a 40 hours work week. This would mean that Bob Cratchit, at $375 per week, is making $9.38 per hour.